Welcome to the Art Lady's home. I'm just about to start my vegetable lasagna, and I started with a little bit of this tomato, onion, garlic sauce in the bottom of this large dish. This dish, by the way, is 12 by 17, so it's enough to feed a huge family, or if you want lots of leftovers. You can also reduce it if you want to do this smaller. You don't have to use as much of the vegetables that I'm going to be using. I boiled up a package of these noodles here, these lasagna noodles, and I cooked them for about 10 minutes. The directions said 10 to 12 minutes. I made them a little bit harder than, fully cooked so that they don't get too soggy in my lasagna. And now what I'm doing is I'm just going to go ahead and start layering this. I put you see here, I put a little bit of sauce at the bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and layer the lasagna noodles right on top of that sauce. This little layer of sauce here is preventing the lasagna noodles from sticking to the bottom of my pan. And you can see this is a pretty good size pan, so it holds the entire length of these lasagna noodles. So I'm going to layer that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a layer of vegetables. And I took 3 zucchini and I sliced them horizontally, so you can see how they're pretty thin. These are under 1/4 inch thin. So now I'm going to go ahead, after I put a little bit of sauce on top of this, I'm going to go ahead and place these in a layer on top. I want to make sure I have loads of vegetables with this, and I'll talk about my sauces and my cheese substitutes as I go along. So right now I'm just layering my zucchini, and then I'm going to take one coming down the side here. So this is going to be an extremely healthy lasagna. And then just continue layering your sauce. And go ahead and do your, I would do your favorite vegetable sauce. And I like to combine them. This one's a basil. No, this one's actually the onion garlic. I also have a tomato basil sauce here. That's nice. This one's a little bit thinner though. And then I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on some seasonings as I go along. So right now I have my zucchini down. And now I'm going to place on some sliced onions. And what I did was I ran these through a slicer as well, so they're really thin. I'm just going ahead and layering them. And I have lots of herbs and spices here to put on here for flavorings. I want the flavors to be layered into this so that the vegetables, because I didn't pre-season these vegetables, so I'm sprinkling lightly some garlic powder. And then I've got some Italian seasoning here that I'm sprinkling on. I like my food flavored with spices, lots of spices. So I spice it up here, but if you like light seasonings, you do it lightly. And then I'm going to throw on some basil. The Italian seasoning, of course, had a blend of all kinds of seasonings, but basil seems to be really great with lasagna. I like extra basil, so I'm putting that on. And now I'm going to put some of this garlic. Now if you have fresh garlic, go ahead and use that. I'm just doing this very quick today, so this is kind of like my cheat day. Instead of making my own sauce, which I have videos for if you want to look up the videos, I have my own sauce videos. I have videos on how I freeze garlic, but today I'm just using all the canned stuff. I want to get this done quick. It's Sunday and I don't want to spend all day cooking. Now I'm going to layer on some black beans, and this adds extra protein here. So I'm sprinkling this on. Remember, this is meatless, so I want to give protein and have added protein. And I'm also using some canned pinto beans as well, sprinkling lightly in my layer. This is adding 5 grams of protein per serving of the pinto beans. And then the black beans were 7 grams. Okay, and I'm gonna end up using up both of those cans. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my other layer of lasagna. So I'm gonna do another layer of noodles. Right here. After I pre-cooked the noodles, I ran them into some cool water. Made sure I rinsed off all that starch that's left over in the water. That way they're easier to handle. And if they break like this, don't worry about it. You're not going to see it once it's all cooked. So right there I've got 4 wide, so that fits on nice. Now I have some stewed tomatoes I'm going to sprinkle on. I want this, I like the chunkiness of the vegetables. So I'm going to place a layer of these stewed tomatoes. Actually, I'm just going to dump the whole can because that juice is going to be good. It's going to help absorb into the vegetables. And I'm just going to place them on. It's a lot faster this way. I'm breaking them up a little bit. This was Mexican style stewed tomatoes, so they were pretty big. That gives some nice flavor too. Any stewed tomatoes is fine. And I'm going to use some of this sauce right on top. This will help cook and steam those vegetables, the juice of this. And now I'm going to do a layer of eggplant. And I did the same thing. I ran this through. It's a little bit thinner than a 1/4 inch. I ran this through a slicer as well. So it gets nice and thin. You can hand cut yours if you don't have a slicing machine. There. This was 1 eggplant. And I ended up slicing up, I'm going to put that whole eggplant on this layer. It's starting to turn brown, which really doesn't matter when you're cooking it. Okay, so I've got that whole layer done. Now I'm going to add some nutritional yeast to this. This is a substitute. It gives a little bit of cheesy flavor to it, but it also provides per tablespoon 2 grams of protein. So I'm going to layer that on top here. I like it kind of crispy on the eggplant. So I'm heavily sprinkling it here. This kind of gives it that eggplant parmesan feeling, if you've ever had eggplant parmesan. So I'm going to sprinkle this on here for flavor. And then, of course, lots of my herbs again. I'm using my oregano. I have herbes de Provence, which I absolutely love. And I mixed in a little bit of this from the herbes de Provence. I mixed in some sea salt with this as well. I love this in my Italian cooking. If you've never tried it, herbes de Provence is a blend of a lot of Italian seasonings. It's got marjoram and thyme and oregano, basil. It's also got some lavender in it too. And I think that's the secret of what makes this great. Okay, now I'm going to do some more of my garlic. Just going to kind of put it in my hand and sprinkle it. I like cooking fast. I don't like taking forever. So I'm just sprinkling on some of that garlic. Like I said, you can squirt or squeeze on some fresh garlic or chop up fresh garlic. Now I'm going to do another layer of the noodle. Right here. Well, I think I don't know if I did yeah, I did the sauce underneath. Couldn't remember if I did the sauce or not. So I'm going to do another layer of noodle here. My noodles are a little choppy. One more. There. Okay. And I'm gonna add more sauce now. I'm gonna give this sauce a shake. It's been sitting in that open jar. What's the rest of that? And I have another zucchini to go on. Now this zucchini is a piece of eggplant. This is my second zucchini. I sliced up 3 pretty large zucchini. It's kind of almost going to be like a ratatouille flavor with all these zucchini. Zucchini and noodles. Put the skinny one over here. There's some that broke. I'm going to throw on the rest of my zucchini on this layer. Now this is going to bake down as the garlic, as the vegetables reduce in size, so it'll get smaller. And now I'm going to do the rest of my black beans. This adds good protein to it, so this is going to be in the substitution of your ground beef. That's my thinking. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some, on top of the black beans, I'm going to sprinkle on some cumin. Let me get that The cumin gives it that kind of meat substitute-y flavor when it's next to the beet, when it's on the beans. Just lightly. And I'm going to use a layer of onions. Now you can do any kind of combination of how you layer these. I used 1 giant onion for this, cut up, 3 pretty large size zucchini, 1 large, medium to large eggplant. It was about, I'd say 8 inches, but it was pretty fat. It wasn't a skinny eggplant. Now I want the heavy onions on the top, so this is going to infuse throughout the thing, and I'm saving some more throughout the lasagna. I have another for the top layer. And now I'm going to do another layer of noodles, and this may be my last layer. I'm getting pretty tall, pretty full here. It's filling up pretty good. And this was 1 full package of lasagna noodles. Let me rinse my hands here. And let me see how many ounces this is. Sometimes you get, this is 16. Sometimes it's 12 ounces I end up buying, but I think they're going back to the 16 ounce true pound. I'm going to put on another big piece here. And then 1 down the side. Okay, now I'm layering. I'm on my second jar now of sauce. I've already started some of this second sauce. I'm going to end up using 2 complete sauces. Like I said, this is a pretty large sized lasagna dish. This dish will hold 2 cake mixes, so half sheet of cake. I'm sprinkling some more nutritional yeast on the top. Oops, that was heavy. Okay, I'll spread that around a little bit. I have it on the thick, I have it on the big opening here. It has a slight cheesy, if you've never used this, slight cheesy taste to it. I want to use the rest of these pinto beans up on top. I'm going to stir this in. And now for the last layer, I have my tofu cheese blend. And any leftover noodles I'm going to put on top of this. And I'm spreading this out. This is my cheese substitute I used. I used a combination of tofu in the blender with some herbs and spices. I will put my recipe for this cheese blend, imitation cheese blend here. I will put that on underneath right above the comments, underneath the title. So you click on the title of the video and then you'll find my cheese blend recipe that I use here. And I have some just leftover noodles here, some kind of noodle crumbs I call them, broken pieces of noodles. I'm just going to lay on top just because I want to use that whole pound of noodles. And I'm going to sprinkle on my onions. And all of these spices and flavors are going to all blend through this. And of course, it's always better the next day after it's sat there. I think a lot of things like soups and curries are better the next day. And now I'm going to layer all the leftovers now, whatever I have left over, I'm going to be spreading on top. I wanted the layer of onions though on top. I'm going to save some of these for the top here. And then I'll put the leftover sauce. Right on top. And some more oregano. I'm just going to layer my seasonings right on top of this. Some black pepper. More garlic. This is actually granulated garlic, which I think has more of a flavor than garlic powder. This is a really great strong garlic right here. That's that Simply Nature. I like that brand. And basil. I love basil on my Italian stuff. Love it. Basil pesto on French bread. Yum. Okay, and then I'm going to throw on some of this Italian seasoning too. Now, I'm going to clean up my edges of my pan here with a cloth, and then I'm going to put it in my oven. And I do 350 until it starts bubbling through the middle. And then I open it up and test it a little bit in the center to make sure the zucchini and eggplant are cooked in the very, very middle. And then when that's done, I know that the lasagna is done. So I cook it enough, and it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour. And I will show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And here it is out of the oven. I let it set for about 10 minutes before I actually sliced it. It came out delicious. I love the little beans added to it. It's a nice little surprise. There's the piece I started eating. Delicious. Of course, it's not like traditional lasagna, but it's the healthy alternative, your vegetarian or vegan lasagna. Let me know in the comments what you did to yours, if you added other kinds of vegetables to it, or what kind of spices you added, and how you liked it.